I want to.
Have you ever met someone that carries the wisdom of a sage? And at the same time, you feel like they have been your longtime best friend. So that's what I felt the moment I met our guest today. And today we have Reverend Carlton Teabout. He is with us today talking about harvesting the good. And we can't wait to dive into this beautiful, deep topic.
Yes. And before we dive in, we just want to share with all of you that our beloved Reverend Carlton is our cherished teacher from our year 2 of practitioner studies at Agape University. And today we are immeasurably honored to have his loving, profoundly loving presence and his deep wisdom here with us at the Peace Teachings podcast. Reverend Carlton has been a member of the Agape International Spiritual Center for 2 decades, and he became an Agape licensed spiritual practitioner in 2006 and a Michael B. Beckwith School of Ministry graduate in the fall of 2022. Reverend Carlton is a husband, a father. Can you believe it? He's a grandfather. He's a son, he's a brother, he's definitely a friend, a leader, absolutely, a teacher, a student, and a lover of life. And he's one who plays and stays in integrity by keeping it real and authentic.
Mm-hmm. The journey and moments of self-discovery have been monumental as Reverend Carlton has developed a real solid spiritual practice and set the intention to know his oneness in God and prove principle in his life. His life is full and he has the opportunity to share good by facilitating the wholeness and goodness for his students, for clients, friends, family, and for us here today. So welcome, Reverend Carlton. Thank you for being here with us today.
Yay.
Wow, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. That's a beautiful bio. Who wrote that? But no, what's really, really wonderful is like hearing it read and loving the ones that are reading it and feeling the love emitting from that. So thank you so much. It is my joy. It's my joy to be here. Absolutely.
We just adore you, Reverend Carlton. And I'm glad that you can feel our admiration for you. We do. We admire your devotion. We have been benefited from and if I dare say, profited from your commitment to spirit and service. And as we were just saying, as Paula is just saying, we referenced how your journey and your moments of self-discovery through life and through service have been really monumental for who you are and what you be and do today and every day. And so we're going to invite you as our first lead into this conversation. Would you share with us a little bit, whatever wants to be shared, about your journey and how you grew to become so incredibly powerful and loving and such an awesome teacher?
Well, thank you, Jen, for that. Whenever that question is asked, it takes you on this whirlwind of really how we came to be right where we are in this moment. And without a lot of story of the past, I was on a journey, maybe it was probably about 25 years ago now. Let's say 99 was when my life really shifted. So maybe 23 years ago. And kind of felt like I was at the bottom and really needed to shift. And I found myself in diagnosis of certain things, addiction situations, just not living my full life by any means. And the fullness of all of that experience was absolutely the catalyst to bring me to where I am today. So shift took place. I made some decisions and I quit my job. I took my 401k out. I bought a convertible. I said, I'm going to California. That's where I've always wanted to be. And I knew that there was something calling my heart. There was a call upon my heart that was taking me here. And when I got here, it was about a year, I was present with just myself and really did some soul searching. But this is without any spiritual background. I just was very present with myself. And then the tap came on. I need to know God,
Mm.
an understanding, a God of the God that I understand. Because I've always been spiritual. I've always been involved. I've always been in some form of a community of such. And I was really hungry for what made sense to me. So just a little background, I came from Catholic upbringing, 8 years of Catholic school, and great foundation. And so I was looking to expand. So when I finally searched, followed the tab, followed the call, I found myself in a space to, it was in West Hollywood, and it was a little, they were having a little talk with all these different spiritual leaders from the areas. There was a Wicca, and there was somebody from North Hollywood Church of Religious Science, and there was, a few different denominations that were giving a talk. And I went to Church of Religious Science in Hollywood, and the pastor was gay, and he had a husband, and there was a whole energy, and I was like, this goes on, and I was like, all right. So I was feeling free, feeling in my vibe. And then my friend Bill Robertson, I don't know if you know Bill Robertson, but he's very popular in our area at Agape. And he brought me to Agape for the first time, and it was a music symposium, and the music was playing, and this man that was on the stage speaking. And when I walked in those doors, I was like my heart burst open, and I knew I was home. We hear this a lot. I knew I was home, but there were people that looked like me. There was a vibe that was like me. The music was kicking, and the word hit my heart in a way that I had never heard somebody talk about God before.
Mm.
And I knew. And it was from that moment on. From that moment on, I started jumping into classes. I was of service, and it's been nonstop ever since.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're a very busy man. I'd like to recognize that. Thank you for taking the time, in fact, to meet with us today, because I know how busy you are.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the busyness of it is such a blessing at times. Of course, we have the opportunity to set our own boundaries and know what's really serving the highest good on how we participate. But I am so grateful for all the ways in which I get to serve, and all the ways I get to be touched by those that I serve with and for. So yeah, sometimes we might have the low-level egoic complaint. I'm so busy, I don't have enough time. But praise be.
Yes. And I am sure from all of that love that you pour out there in the world, you get to receive a lot of good, to harvest good.
Yeah.
And
Good job, Paula.
Yeah, you sent us this email saying, I want to talk about harvesting the good. So what is the good that you would like the world to be harvesting at this time?
I love the way you posed that question. Well, what I would like the world to harvest, the good that I would like the world and every being on this planet to harvest, is love. Is love, and self-love is key. Self-love is key. This week during our meditation practice, there was a moment, I don't even remember. I have a daily meditation practice, and there's a word that we set usually for our intention for that day. But what I realized is that one, we have everything we need, right? We're emanations of sweet source spirit, and that is our very nature. That's what's within our very being. This presence is the very essence of our being. Often we may look out there to get, or to need, to get what we think we need, but it is within already. So what we want to do is harvest that. So the vision that I see in this is the open heart, this open heart that is radiant, that has everything we need, that sources and supplies all activity. And when we become present to that with self, and allow the love that is our nature to express as our being, as all aspects of our being, as all relationships, as all that we create and participate in, then we harvest that. That's what I harvest. I harvest the knowingness of sweet spirit as my very life, and allow that to come forth, to be revealed. So yes, I would like everyone to harvest the good that is already within the very essence of their being. I could go more. Well, let me let that land.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're such an extraordinary teacher, and you're so very humane. You spoke of the goodness, you spoke of the love just now, and I'd like for our listeners, there may be, I'm just getting a sense, so I'm just letting what wants to express itself. There may be someone listening out there who says, Carlton, I've never experienced self-love. I don't know what it is. And I hear you inviting me to know that, and I'm not even sure where the door is. Is there an affirmation? Is there a principle? Is there a quality? Is anything that's coming up inside of you that you can speak to for individuals who say, I haven't experienced that, I don't know what it is? What's the first step?
So the first thing that comes to me, it's a funny saying that I don't remember exactly where I got it, but a few practitioners say, and Shamin Bernard is coming into my awareness in this moment. But she used to say, when you spot it, you got it, right? When you spot it, you got it. So our mind in our ego thinking will say that we've never felt that, or we never knew that, or we get in our own way of this. But there is a part of us, there's a part of us that was, when we're born, when we come into this incarnation, that's never been harmed, hurt, endangered. So we come in from love, we come in free, right? But as we participate in life, we see beauty, we see creation, we see nature. I mean, the simplest form, a puppy dog, the baby's laughter, the sky. When we see that and there's a feeling of such beauty or love, you spot that, you got that. So what I like to give is especially nature is a great one. The presence of this intelligence is everywhere. It's the back of all. It's creating everything. It's the very essence of our being, right? So if we're seeing that, then we put our attention on that. Like, let that expand, let the beauty. So right now I'm looking out in my backyard, there's some bougainvillea, there's some evergreens, but the beauty of that fuchsia and that red, and there's some orange in there, touches my heart. Let that expand, and let that expand, and let that expand. You'll find love within there. So that's how I start, to get that energy going. Did that answer your question?
Absolutely. That's a rich answer. Yes. Yes. And something that's accessible to everyone. Pardon me, Paula.
And you just said a key word, attention. Place your attention in what is good and let it expand.
Absolutely. So, I just to talk about intention, I know you had Reverend Kim on, and the power of intention, but our intention, when we talk about intention and it not being about the activity of a doingness, but a beingness, right? And so even if we have the intention to love, so again, for someone who may not have that experience or the practice of that or the familiar energy of it, to really let that be an intention. And so my intention is to love. So then there you go again. Let us put our attention on that. And the good practice is, and Reverend Michael used to say this in his meditations, and he still does, but is your attention on your intention? Or what is your attention on? And so that's a big thing. If we can just pay attention and be radically honest, right? Radically honest with where our attention is and what is moving through us. The more that we practice this, right? The more that we keep paying attention to what my thoughts are, what my feelings are, what is taking place, what's the truth here, right? The more that we're present with that, we start to create this container, this space in consciousness. And the more we ask those expansive questions, the more we're present with ourselves, we are able to discern what is true, what is real. And we start to move forward with letting go of those things that are not true, letting go of that false belief. Even right now, I'll just speak to, I have a habit. And it's from my conditioning. I don't know where I picked it up, but I have a habit of saying, I'm sad. I'm sad. And so I caught myself, through the course of my, all the years I've been practicing, but I caught myself when that conditioned voice comes in, I'm sad. It's like, okay, let me just be with that. So I can just be with that. Is it true? Am I sad? Not really. Just a habitual voice. I can move on. However, sometimes when I ask that, it's like, there is a little sadness. It could be about a memory. It could be about a past experience. It could be about something that's going on in my life or in the world right now. So we can give ourselves the space to be okay being sad. Yes, I am. I'm sad. Let me just be in the sadness right now. So as we have created this space, right, we don't let the sadness be prevalent. I'm giving the attention to the sadness. What's really true here about this sadness? In that space, the truth is revealed. And we can just be present with ourselves. Sometimes there are things that make us sad. It's part of our human life, right? So we just move through it. We allow ourselves to feel our feelings by paying attention.
I love what you just said. And because you taught us this in class, I remember this lesson so well, and then practicing it. And now I give it to my clients that are doing counseling with me. Just giving ourselves permission to feel, not to think about what we're feeling or attach stories to what we're feeling. Like you said, just give it space. And sometimes I'll, just like we learned it, just go into the feeling, give it space, breathe into it, give it space. And 9 out of 10 times my clients would say, oh my God, it just left me or it just softened. Like I don't feel it. And now we have time to choose, where do I want to place my attention instead?
Yeah.
Or where do I want to place my attention?
Yeah. That's beautiful. So now I can move back into the harvesting the good. Because I was going on a little roll there. So I love that. I love that experience, and I love when our clients or even those we're having a conversation with get that, when it moves. Just for a little bit of humor, the one that makes me I love the most is anger, or I'm pissed off. Right. And so I give myself that pissed me off, or I'm mad. And I give myself the space, being like, okay, are you really angry? Yeah, I'm mad. And this is, all the conversation in my own mind, right?
Yeah.
And then I go, well, all right, just be mad. Or just go ahead and be pissed. And as soon as I do that, as soon as I give exactly that happens. It's like, oh, look at you, go ahead, look at you being all mad, and it softens. And then even that humor, the lightness, the levity, is energy for healing. It's energy for truth. It makes space. It makes space for truth to be revealed. So to come back to the harvesting the good. So Reverend Michael teaches, I remember years ago, and he still brings it through his talks at times, but years ago he did a relationship workshop. And what he teaches is there's 3 steps in creating in moving through a shift, let's say a transformation of a relationship. And we can use this in all aspects of our lives. But the first thing is to accept, be in acceptance, right? Identify what is really going on here. Radical honesty, right? Be really present. Is the relationship over? Am I done with this job? Just be in acceptance of what is, right? And when we're in acceptance of what is, and that may take some work to just really be present with that and allow all the activity, all the feelings, everything that's coming up. But we're in acceptance. It's an expansive space to be in. So in that space, when we're in acceptance, what we want to do next is harvest the good. Harvest the good. Harvest everything good about that relationship, everything good about that job, everything good about that ever took place around this situation. Bring it all in. And that's yours. That's yours eternally. The love that you shared, the joy that you experienced, you harvest all of that. And then with the harvest of the good that's yours eternally, you forgive. You forgive everything else. Everything else. This allows you to move through, to transform, to take your next step into whatever, that next job, that freedom of and being with self, whatever. But it's accept, harvest the good, release everything else. That harvesting the good is so important. It's so important because it really keeps you to what is true. The things that need to be forgiven, the fears, the worry, the doubt, the blame, the shame, the defense, all of that is not truth. It's not truth. It may have been an experience, but it's not the truth. The truth is you loved. The truth is you created. The truth is you participated in a thing that brought you here. And now it's a stepping stone to the next wonderful thing in your life.
Yes.
So good.
Yes. I feel that harvesting is akin to forgiveness, and that the acceptance that you speak of is an act of allowance. And if we're in the dualistic mind, or if we're in fear, that transition from allowance and acceptance into harvesting could trip up the ego. And because if the ego is saying, I want out, or this is no longer for me, a change is seeking to emerge, the invitation to allow is acceptance, as you're saying, and then the harvesting. I understand that that a story might want to come to acknowledgement in that moment, or a justification, or a defense, or if I harvest the good, will that mean that I'm going to want to re-dive into something that I know internally I'm done with and I want to move on from? So to me, you're speaking in the harvesting, you're speaking of forgiveness and that space, again, that is creative of, as you said previously, oh, you're mad. All right, go ahead and be angry. And just as one allows that, or is in the space again of allowance and harvesting, there's so much fruit there. There's, no pun intended, there's so much harvest to be harvested there. And one needs, one can learn in that moment and needs so much grace. Grace is born in that moment, that I'm willing to admit the good, and still allow what's seeking emergence, what is sprouting for to be something to be harvested in the future, allowing that blossom to come forth. I feel like you're speaking to forgiveness, you're speaking to grace, you're speaking to love.
Yes. Yeah. I love what you're bringing to this, and there's a flow, so it's not just a one and done also, right? This is okay, so I'm moving through this and this is what I'm going to do and it's done. There's a continual circulation of these energies, and that part about the acceptance and the identifying or calling it what it is, that is a process of really being so very present. That's not just like, well, it's over, and I'm moving to this part now. If you really want to move through this, or if there's really a call on your heart, let's say, to move through, and then we really become really present to the truth that is revealing itself. When I say what's here for me, what's this relationship, whatever the situation is, and then there's that space that we're making, that we're supported in. It's a helicopter coming, so it might be a little loud. That we're being supported in. We make sure that we are so fully buoyed up in prayer, in our practice. If we don't have a strong practice for ourselves, there's a lot of folks around here that'll support you with prayer and meditation, all sorts of ways to get support. But you want to be so buoyed up in truth that you can be radically honest with what's going on in this particular aspect of your life. And you spend the time there. And then again, creating that space is where things are revealed. The other thing I just wanted there were there's three aspects of that process too, and I wrote them down here, and then you touched on them when you were talking. But there's trust, right? There's trust in this process. There's trust in the flow of our life. Trust in the divine, always present, always expressing through us, no matter of the appearance, the circumstance, the condition, the diagnosis. We trust that we're fully sourced, fully supplied, divinely guided, right? And then in that trust, we get to be so fully present to this truth.
Yeah.
And then we receive, we create, we participate from that space.
There's something that is coming up for me right now, because I talk to people that have been in the presence of agape or new thought, ancient wisdom, and it's, there's been like a cultivation of this conversation prior, right? And I had people, especially when they come from this place that I tend to go work once in a while to give class, where they would argue with me and they would say, Paula, I have no idea when you say truth what you're talking about.
Yes.
It's almost like they don't have the context into like it vibrationally like the consciousness of it, it's almost like it opens the heart and it's like, what is it? So when and this is a perfect question for you, because you've been immersed in this work for so long. What is truth?
Yes.
All right.
The first question.
Thanks, Paula. Thank you so much. So here's the thing. One, truth. First of all, let's be true, right? So that's why I love my little keeping it real, because power to anyone who says, I don't know that. Yeah. Power to anyone who says, I haven't experienced that. What is that? I don't know what that means. That first of all, applause for that person, because there's something getting ready to open up. You've already called it forth. So that's great. And let me just get still for what is truth. So like I said, when I was on when I was on the search for a God of my understanding, I don't think we talk about truth a lot, but I don't think anyone, so the mind is going. There's two things that I want to say. Individually, truth. And I know Reverend Michael makes fun of it, but I'm speaking my truth. And I don't want to say that, but only the individual knows what's true for them. What's true for them. God speaks to me in a way I understand it. I know what's true in my heart and what I believe and how I participate in this life and my relationship with the divine. That's my truth. Don't tell them. And then there's the absolute truth. There's what is absolute. There's principle and law. That is. It just is. That, and again, it's about your faith, right? You stepped into these teachings, you stepped into new thought, ageless wisdom. So this is what we are speaking to. And the universal truths and principles, if you really look at them, they're pretty close to the same language, whatever spiritual denomination you're moving into. However, for us, the absolute truth is that there is this infinite intelligence. There's a creative energy. It's evident everywhere that is expressing as all, through all the time. It's true. There's something, a thing, an energy, a source that is always expressing.
Mhm.
What's beating the heart?
Mhm.
What's expanding the lungs? What's turning the planet? There's an energy source that
Mhm.
is always active, that is always giving of itself, that is always expressing. And so however that speaks to you, there's no way to argue that.
Yes.
Mm.
There's no argument for that. And that to me is truth. That's absolute truth.
Beautiful answer. Thank you. Thank you. And
Yeah.
you referred to nature a while ago. The nature is a great way of finding evidence,
Absolutely.
love and of expression, that intelligence. Mhm.
Yeah. And just the beauty, to me, nature, just the beauty of it and the playfulness of it. And so the beauty of nature and the green of the tree, and this is, I teach this, I say this all the time. It's like, that's my gratitude statement, is like, I'm grateful for the color rain, because not only the color and the thing it is, but it's all that it represents. It represents life. It represents the flow of intelligence. But the playfulness of it, with the animals and the nature of their being, those that are untouched by any human form of containment, right? The playful, and even the form of human containment. My dogs are super playful, and I get so much, energy and teaching from them in their unconditional loving presence. But the playfulness of spirit expressed, or a baby, a toddler just learning to walk, that kind of, it's a nature of playfulness and creativity that takes place. No doing this,
Mm.
Reverend Carlton, you serve such a vast community, and I feel that our listeners are gaining the insight that you are, for me, you are for everyone. I don't think that there's a person from a culture or a belief system or a positioning that wouldn't benefit from being in your presence. You're that open. You're that kind and compassionate and unconditional in the way that you show up. I also find you incredibly humane. I recognize your soul. I am in the presence of your eternal perfection. And as Carlton, the being in condensed form, you're just so much fun to be with. You're so forgiving. You just have this incredible ability to hold people where we are, and you're non-judgmental. And so I'm saying this as a call to our listeners that that for me, Reverend Carlton is a big sacred yes, and that if you're feeling drawn towards him, one of the joys that I have experienced in your presence, because there are countless experiences that you and I have shared, and Paola has shared with you at this point as well, and will continue to. One of the great opportunities that I've had to be in your consciousness is through the 21 days practice that you offer incessantly, relentlessly every month. Will you extend that invitation to our listeners? We'll share the link. We're going to make sure that everyone knows how to reach you as a spiritual therapist, as a reverend, and also as a meditation guide. Will you speak a little bit into the 21 days and 21 minutes that you serve, and let our audiences know how they can interact with you in that way?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'll just give you a little background about the 21 days. So first of all, what it is it's every month we meet via Zoom in the morning live, or you can watch the recording. But we meet at the room opens up at 7:15, but from 7:21 to 7:42 for 21 minutes, we set a brief intention. There's a little pray in, still, and then there's an affirmative prayer as we end the meditation. And usually there's a daily word, an intention, or something that's coming up. A lot of times it's what I'm moving through, and then I know there's one mind, so it supports the whole. But we have that intention, and it's an intentional meditation practice. And so how it came about was, so I graduated in 2020, the fall of 2020, and that following January, I was like, it's time to up level and expand. And it wasn't so much about offering the practice for a group. It was really for my own expansion, my own to reestablish a meditation practice. And I knew that if I was feeling this, there were others that were probably feeling it too. And it might be nice to put a group together. I didn't really think much of it, but I put it out there. And I got probably about 30 or so of us that were meeting regularly or watching the recordings. And that was January, that was 01/01/21. And so by the middle of that year, we probably had over 100 people following us and participating. And now we have up to, I think, about 180, almost like 180 folks so we have probably about 40 people online in the morning on the Zoom call. And it's just a sweet community. And so the whole energy, I feel what's taking place is, there's the scripture, build it and they will come, right? There was, I put that out there and it was totally open-hearted invitation. And now I just know how well I'm being fed and how the community, the sweet community of us are serving, and no idea of the power that is expressing from us coming together in this particular way daily. So it's a beautiful thing. 21 days, 21 minutes. It's open to everyone. It's free. You can email me. You can at my email, you'll probably put it in the link later, but it's carltonteabout@yahoo.com. And then I will send you the link. You get a daily email with a little, sometimes a blurb, and sometimes a little writing on the inspiration that the intention was developed from. And sometimes I put some artwork, some poetry, and then there's a prayer list, and we hold each other in prayer. So you can send in your prayer requests and we'll put them in, and 180 people are holding you in the light of love and truth.
It's massive. It's really massive being present with you for those 21 minutes, 25, 26 minutes, showing up a little early to benefit from that loving conversation before we.
Sometimes the prayer goes a little late, I get it.
It can happen. And on the days that I can't join you and I get that email, it's like a gift box. There's video or there's music or there's quote. I mean, he sends artwork. He sends a prayer. He gives you an intention or an affirmation. It's like opening it's like
good to hear.
Yeah, holiday gift every day for 21 days out of the month. And then on day 22, I'm like, where's Carlton? I always long for you. Those 9 days or whatever they are in between the 21st and then the 1st are definitely a day of a period of settling and also craving. So I advise our listeners to get involved. Even if you can't join Reverend Carlton live on the Zoom call, do yourselves a favor and get that daily gift. It is rich.
Thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Now I know what I'm doing November 1st. I mean,
there you go.
But it's at the 1st of every month you begin again.
Right. The 1st to the 21st.
And it's never the same.
The 21. Yeah, 21 days. 21 is my number, and it's always served me. And the year 21, and then 21 minutes. So there's a flow of energy behind that, and it's definitely it's expanded my awareness around life in general. So
mine as well. It's massive. Don't walk, run to these 21 days. You'll be glad you did. You can thank me later, listeners.
Thank you so much.
Oh yeah. And thank you, Reverend Carlton. We truly love you. And I hope you know that we consider you not only a mentor and a guide and a great counselor, therapist, and leader and friend. We feel that you're our friend and we love you. And you're gorgeous inside and out.
I love you. My heart is so wide open. I feel, you know me. I mean, from class, I'm a crier. So there's the energy that is coming up, but it's bringing me such joy, and I just appreciate the work that the two of you are doing together in this forum. But to know you individually, and we are so blessed to have you in the core now, and so blessed for the work that you're doing in the universe. So appreciate and love you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Right.
love you.
Yes,
Thank
you're
you.
part of this, Reverend Carlton. Had you not said yes so many times, Paula and I wouldn't be here doing this. You've nourished this beautiful blossom that is the Peace Teachings podcast. And I hope you'll come back and join us again anytime.
100%, because just in those comments that you just made, there's a whole bunch of other things that I have to say.
Right. There's so much to say. We'll have you back. We'll have you back
Absolutely, I would love it.
for the abundance of your heart. And I'm definitely harvesting already all the good from this conversation. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. We love you.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and thank you for
Thank you.
everyone who has listened. Go to the links below this episode to find how to join this 21-day meditation for 21 minutes, and so that you can benefit from this, whether you are already into this, maybe you've been on the spiritual path for a while, or maybe this is new for you. It's for everyone. And showing up as a student is always, we get to harvest a lot of good by showing up. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. And
Thank you,
you.
listeners. Peace unto you.
Peace and love.
Mwah.